Believe it or not, your next iPhone or even your MacBook like this one could be coming with an Intel chip. Now, you probably don't believe me, but in this video, I am going to prove it to you. Let's get started. Now, over a year ago, Intel CEO Pat Gelsinger said that he hopes to win back Apple as a chip customer one day. That's of course because Apple ditched Intel and went with their own Apple Silicon chips on their MacBooks just like they do for their iPhones, but I do think Intel is going to be right and they're gonna win them back. Now back then, even I was laughing at Intel saying there's no way that was gonna happen. I made a bunch of videos saying that Intel was done, x86 was screwed, but I think I might be wrong. Let me show you why. Just the other day, Apple CEO Tim Cook said that they are gonna be sourcing chips from Arizona starting in 2024. Not only that, but Mark Gurman, the top Apple leaker, also said that they could be sourcing chips from Europe in 2024, and the main point is to diversify the supply chain. Now, if you don't know why Apple would do that, well, it's because China is becoming kind of a problem for Apple, which Mark Gurman pointed out way back in May. Apple's overdependence on China keeps creating new problems for the iPhone maker. And recently, those problems have been getting even worse. Like Apple had to limit the AirDrop file sharing feature on iPhones in China because they were used by protesters to spread images to other iPhone users, which is kind of weird and honestly a little bit sus. Now, even worse, Apple said that the COVID lockdowns at Foxconn in China are going to be slowing iPhone 14 Pro and iPhone 14 Pro Max output. And if you don't know what went on in those factories, well, basically, the workers were literally fleeing, running away from Foxconn's largest iPhone factory after a really bad lockdown. And because of that, Apple had to come out and make a statement saying that they now expect lower iPhone 14 Pro and Pro Max shipments than previously anticipated, and customers will experience longer wait times to receive their new products, which is really bad news. And guess what just broke out? If you order an iPhone right now, today, it is unlikely to arrive in time for Christmas in the US. That was actually yesterday, but check out today. Yep, iPhone 14 Pro models are officially sold out. You will not get one until December 27th, which I don't think that's ever happened before. So if you're wondering why Apple is looking to get some chips from Arizona starting in 2024, that is basically why, but that's only half the story. It unfortunately could get worse. Some users were saying on Twitter that Apple is essentially preparing for a potential invasion of Taiwan, which is really scary to see, but it looks like Apple is basically pulling out of China as quickly as they can, trying to diversify that supply chain, find other sources just in case that happens, because TSMC in Taiwan is supplying basically all of Apple's chips and your iPhone, your Mac, basically everything, and replacing that output would take years. And making things even worse, Ken Griffin recently said, let's be clear, if we lose access to Taiwanese semiconductors, the hit to US GDP is probably on an order of magnitude of 5 to 10%. It's an immediate Great Depression. So that is the main reason Apple needs to find some other places to source their chips. Now, immediately, the first thing that comes to mind is that Apple is gonna use TSMC's brand new plant in Arizona that is gonna be going up running in 2024. That's what I personally expected, but I'm gonna talk about why it could actually be Intel that Apple is looking at. But before I get into how Apple is gonna expand their supply chain, let's talk about how you can expand your living room by turning your regular TV into a fully immersive experience with our channel partner Lightme's new Fantasy Plus kit by extending the colors and action far beyond just the screen. This works great for music and movies since it supports Dolby Vision and HDR10+, as well as for gaming with support for 4K 60, where many similar price competitors can only do 1080p. The full kit price is incredible at $299, whereas a matching Hue Sync kit that supports the same formats comes in at over $900. It's also incredibly easy to set up. You just peel and stick the light strip around your TV and then download the app to sync it up. They have multiple modes and options so you can use the app and customize however you like best, and it's voice compatible with Amazon Alexa, Google Assistant, and SmartThings. And even better, Lightme is giving the biggest discount of the year, 20% off on all Lightme products for Black Friday and Cyber Monday, so check the link in the description below to stay tuned. Now getting back to why I think Apple is not gonna be solely relying on TSMC and probably going for Intel, this is the reason right here. TSMC's fab that they're opening in Arizona is actually a 5nm node chip fab. And that right there is a massive problem because next year's M3 chips for Max and A17 chip for the iPhone 15 Pro models are gonna be using TSMC's second generation 3nm process. Yes, they're jumping to 3nm while the factory in Arizona is only gonna be 5nm in 2024 when we're already gonna be expecting the A18 chip. So that basically makes that brand new TSMC Arizona fab useless for Apple's new iPhones, especially the high-end ones. Now on the positive side, there are some reports that Apple and TSMC are working together to move 3nm chip production to the United States, which is great, but check out this little caveat. It's looking like it's gonna be until 2025 when those 3nm chips are gonna be available to be made in the States, which unfortunately is when Apple is expected to use 2nm chips in the iPhone 17 Pro series, of course coming from TSMC on the island of Taiwan, assuming that by that time no invasion happens. And making things even worse, check out this article. TSMC Arizona plans are mostly PR for Apple, suggests Bloomberg. And the main point is that the new site in Arizona, the brand new fab, is only gonna be producing about 20,000 wafers of silicon chips per month. That's less than 1.6% of the 1.3 million that TSMC currently churns out monthly in Taiwan. And even if they add another Arizona plant as expected, the US facility will be nowhere near able to fill Apple's total orders. And because of that, this leads us to speculation that it's actually gonna be Intel's latest fab that Apple is gonna be using from Arizona. Check out this tweet from Whitaken. I don't know who that is, but check it out. The only leading edge Arizona fab in 2024 will be owned by Intel, which is their 20A node, not TSMC with their 5nm node. Congrats on the IFS win at Pat Gelsinger. Yes, I think that is actually correct because Intel is gonna have a more sophisticated and more advanced node in 2024, and Apple's probably gonna wanna use that compared to those older 5nm chips. So way back a year ago when everybody was laughing at Intel's CEO saying that he wants to win back Apple by making better chips than Apple, well, it looks like Intel can actually be correct. And even a couple weeks ago, we got some reports from Nikkei Asia how Intel plans to rival TSMC and Samsung as a chip supplier. And we of course know TSMC's #1 client, which is Apple. So Intel wants to take some of TSMC's business, and I think Apple's gonna do it. And if you didn't already know, Intel announced their roadmap to 2025 with all of their different process nodes going all the way down to 18A, which is basically equivalent to 2nm TSMC, with 20A being equivalent to 3nm, which will be coming in 2024. So because of that, it's basically gonna be irresistible to Apple to use those fabs in Arizona. And I think the the main point that you should probably take away is that when Tim Cook made this announcement, he did not specify which fab or company it would be. He just said we're getting chips from Arizona. He never said Arizona's TSMC. He left that possibility open. And the main point that I want to make is that in the case that Taiwan actually does get invaded and Apple loses TSMC's chip supply, Apple will literally be sourcing chips from every possible fab in the world, of course, including Intel. But the problem is that literally every other company is gonna be doing the same thing because TSMC produced the majority of the world's chips. And if that gets cut off, it's gonna be bad. Just like Ken Griffin said, it's gonna be an immediate Great Depression. So because of that, Apple has no choice. They're gonna have to go and diversify their supply chain. They're gonna have to swallow their pride and go for some of those nice Intel 20A chips. And I think that this article from Patently Apple makes a pretty good point. While Intel will also have a new plant in Arizona, it's unlikely that Apple will shift away from TSMC unless unforeseen political mayhem happens to break out in Taiwan. Then again, why didn't Cook just confirm that it's TSMC? So based on that right there, if things end up getting worse with the whole US-China politics situation, there's a good chance that your next iPhone or your next Mac or MacBook could be coming out of an Intel fab. Yes, that could likely happen. So with that said, if you completely disagree with what I'm saying in this video, let me know down in the comment section below. But if you enjoyed it, click the circle above to subscribe for more videos like this one. Check out one of those two right over there. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.